eNCA reporter Karyn Maughan is at the Pretoria Magistrates Court right now, and she was in fact in court earlier this morning. Karyn, let's just go through some of the key elements that played out today. Most important is the fact that, yes, it has been postponed until the 19th of August, but also interesting rhetoric coming through from the magistrates as well.
Well, this court has been the site of some rather interesting grandstanding from certain magistrates, but it seemed that Magistrate Daniel Tulare was genuinely concerned about what he described as potentially scandalous or contemptuous court reporting coming out in recent days. Now, the magistrate wasn't explicit, but his comments come out in the wake of course, that broadcast of so-called leaked crime scene footage by international media. And it very much seems that he was suggesting to the National Prosecuting Authority and the police that they need to seriously investigate the conduct of officials involved in this case to ensure that what processes that he described as potentially very damaging to the South African court system were not being allowed to play out in the media.
All right, so I mean, we're obviously referring to international media that could be under the spotlight as well, Karyn, from what we understand when it comes to international laws, especially when you look at how things are done in the UK, very strict rules there. Is there a sense in terms of if media could come under the spotlight, could take a bit of flack going forward by the court system here in South Africa? How likely is that, and what would the procedure then be?
Well, the magistrate wasn't explicitly talking about the conduct of the media. He was really referring to the conduct of officials who may in some way have been responsible for what he described as potentially scandalous reporting or reporting that was possibly contemptuous of court. Now, given that international broadcasters were involved in this latest incident, it really remains to be seen whether the South African judicial system or the NPA or police have any real ability to discipline or take measures against those broadcasters. I would think not. What they do, however, have is an ability to investigate within their own ranks and discover which officials were responsible for the leaking of these images, if any, or whether they were remunerated for such. Now, we know the broadcaster in question has vociferously denied that anyone received compensation for those images, but certainly the suggestion from the former investigating officer Hilton Botha very much is that they did. So he suggests that the police need to strongly interrogate who was on that scene and who may have taken those photos. The police, of course, at this stage saying that they don't even believe that they really are in a position to investigate and may not even take this matter very further.
All right, Karyn, with regards to the investigation, and this is why the postponement has actually come to the fore, the prosecution asking for time to investigate further or to conclude their investigation. In terms of the defense, what is the stance of the defense right now, given the fact that Oscar Pistorius is known to perhaps be very emotional right now? Do you think it's going to work in their favor as well, given the fact that they've got a few more months before the next court appearance?
Well, I think they're not really in a position to do anything, Eleni, because they don't have the docket. They don't know what the statements are against their client. They have a sort of broad brushstroke approach from the state, saying very categorically that A, he put his legs on, B, this was premeditated, and C, that there was some kind of preceding argument that they have witness evidence to attest to, and that they are investigating the cause or possible causes of that argument. So at this point, the defense is really dealing with very, very broad case. They don't know which witnesses will attest to these kind of claims. They don't know the strength of that evidence. They will only really be in a position to prepare for this case when and if they receive that docket in August, and when and if they are presented with the state's final indictment against Oscar Pistorius, in which they'll not only put the charges to him, but disclose what is called the statement of substantial facts, in which they will explicitly state what their case against Oscar Pistorius is, what they say their evidence is, and who they plan to call. We know at this stage we only have a provisional list of witnesses, no real finality on who the forensic experts are in this case and who else will be testifying. We, however, know that today the state is handing over the official crime scene album to the defense, and they, of course, for the first time will see the pictures of the aftermath of the scene that the National Prosecuting Authority describes as a scene of a murder, but which Oscar Pistorius' defense describes as the scene of a horrific accident.
All right, Karyn, thanks very much for that update, and we'll catch up with you at 12 p.m. So in an hour's time. Karyn Maughan, live from the Pretoria Magistrates Court.
News that moves. eNCA.com.